This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, the vibes are slipping. I think it's time to bring out the Velveeta shells and cheese. The holidays are a time to go all in on indulgence. Headline your meals with the rich, creamy meltiness of Velveeta shells and cheese and satisfy your holiday cravings like no other. Bring that main course energy to your side dish. Celebrate extra with Velveeta these holidays.
Two, one. Welcome to another Britflix.com podcast. My name's Stuart Wright, and today's guest is screenwriter and mentor at Pagecraft, Heidi Hornhacher. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We are going to be talking about Pagecraft and the power of mentoring, as well as 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life. Does that sound like what you've signed up for?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Superb. So let's start at the top then. Pagecraft. What is it, and what does it entail, and what does it provide?
What is it and why? So Pagecraft is the company I started with my husband in 2008. And we both had graduated from UCLA screenwriting and, kind of went into the world like, oh, we know everything. And then over the subsequent years, we were like, oh my God, we don't know anything. Like, what are we doing? And we started taking groups of writers to Italy to stay in a villa for 2 weeks and just work on scripts. And over the course of doing that, we're like, this should be a business, because I see people having that concentrated time to work on their thing, just make creative leaps forward. And so I'm like, okay, this is a thing we should be doing. At the same time, I co-founded the Slam Dance Script Clinic, and I was doing a lot of contest reading, and I just kept seeing the same mistakes in scripts over and over. And I was like, why is no one teaching this? Like, why is no one teaching that's not how you do it. It's better if you do it this way. And so actually over a course of several years, we developed a curriculum sort of meant to address all that. And we started running it, and it started having really good results. And what I realized is, also, like a lot of classes, like we felt very at sea after UCLA. The importance of having that ongoing relationship with somebody that you can call, somebody that you can count on, and not feel like you're bothering them, but you're continuing to develop in your writing. And that became really important to us. So we developed a second set of curriculum for rewriting your script. And then we started reaching out to other experts like, oh, this friend of mine knows how to do pitch decks. Let me have her teach something. This friend of mine knows how to do a pitch for network executives live. Let me have her teach that. So, we really started developing a lot of how can we support writers in an ongoing way. And we found that the curriculum, our concept of Page's curriculum, is for any level. So writers come back to us script after script after script to just go through the process with us, with the accountability and coaching and mentoring. So it really means so much to me when I see one of my writers win something, or I have one of my writers who now has 4 Emmys, and she just came back and taught a 1-week workshop for us for women in TV comedy, because that's what she has her Emmys for. So, that is like better than any success I could personally have as a writer.
And what can you say what some of those common mistakes you were spotting then that sort of compelled you to sort of do this?
Yeah, I mean, everything from like the formatting stuff that I think, that's really easy to find out there is just like people misformatting like phone conversations or like intercut scenes, things like that, or putting action lines in their parentheses or things like that were just like, no, action lines go in action lines. It's in the name, things like that, like misusing parentheses is really common. But then just like on a deeper level, structural stuff. And that's where I felt like I didn't know how to do that stuff, even though I had a degree. So I went back and really started digging in with a bunch of our mentors, like, how do you structure? And we came up with this sort of thing building off of some of our mentors. That's just like, this is a structure that underlies every single thing you see. And when I realized I could turn around and teach it, that's when that's one of the mistakes that I was seeing everywhere is people would have, for instance, they'd have a really strong, launch into act one, and then their act two would just kind of sag. That was a really common thing I would see. And if I tried to speak to them about like, well, you're sort of missing, a low point at the end of your act two. And they'd be like, well, but the couple broke up. I mean, that's a low point. And what I finally realized is we really need to differentiate between the A story, which is the external visual story, driven by the character's external goals, the B story, which is the internal, like the relationship story, and then the C story, which is often the character growth, their internal growth. They're becoming who they were meant to be. So what happens is I see this all the time where a writer will have a great turn on the B story, but they'll forget they also need a structural turn on the A story. So that's like, the couple breaks up, that's on your B story. What about your A story? And so then I was able to, once I could sort of codify it and break it apart, it became really easy to turn around and go, let's analyze this. Let's run this through this rubric. If that's what's missing, it's easy to see. And then it became really easy to have writers understand what they were missing.
Okay. Now, it was interesting at the beginning there where you said that the benefit of sort of going away and doing in Italy to, and not just Italy, but Italy is obviously a key feature of what you offer. The benefits of that concentrated time together in both terms of outcomes, but I'm guessing learning as well is going on at the same time.
Yeah. What really is amazing to me to watch every year that we do this is it's not just me. Like I've been a mentor for a long time now. I can speak to what can be strong in your script, but it's the writers with each other. They start learning from each other in a way that I can never predict. And it's really fun to just see, like, they get so invested in each other's stories. And, when we have a class here online, we have our 10-week, once-a-week class. And it's great, and you make the time you can make during the week to do your homework and write. But when we're all there and we're together, it's you're living and breathing and eating and sleeping each other's scripts. And so things are just, your mind's constantly going, and you wake up and go for a morning walk, and then you're like, oh, hey, you know what? I was thinking about your scene where they discuss their big plan, and like, what would be really cool? And like, you see people just get excited about each other's scripts. And so it's like this exponential, the work that is done and the way they inspire each other in a way that's like, I can get there once a week with you, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. In terms of the script consultancy side of what you do, what do you think is the key to good script coverage?
I think really reading it. I mean, I think right now there's so much AI that people are using to analyze stuff, and that only gives you a certain level. It can be a great like jumping off place for like basic structure stuff, but it doesn't give you the depth of the feeling. So that's what I really look for. I kind of run it through my structural rubric, and I'm like, am I missing is this script missing something on their A or their B or their C story? And then it's just a matter of, have you deepened your dialogue? Is your dialogue really on the nose, or have you pushed it into the subtext? Can I coach you that way to like maybe trim? Almost every single script is overwritten. We all overwrite. It's part of the job description. So it's just helping writers understand where they can pull back, where they've already made their context so clear that we get it. You don't have to keep gilding the lily. Like, we understood what we already got, that the character was sad and wants to do this thing. It's like, you don't need to have 7 people say it.
And that's often what I often feel that's the stuff I'm blindest to when I'm writing my own thing. You kind of think, I'm being subtle here, and you are being subtle, but actually it may be enough. If it's not, if it's not like the code to crack, Nazi messages coming over the wire, then it doesn't need to be that explanatory. It just has to be an action that makes you believe what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Exactly. And I think one of the things I really push people to talk about or to look at in their own writing is how much can you accomplish with actions and looks and emotions that we can read on the character's face without over directing from the page. Because that to me is the mark of an elevated writer. If you're not over directing your actor with body direction, but you're giving the actor things to play where the story comes across, that's the sweet spot. And that's, it's challenging to teach because people are like, but you just said not to write what is bodies. I'm like, I know, but it's this, you got to get that tight wire act. And that's when you read a script and you're like, oh my God, this is so good. So it's getting that balance.
And from the other side then, when a writer comes to you, how do you think a writer can get the best out of script coverage from both their attitude and approach to it?
I mean, being coachable is huge. We all, even I, like you get notes. My first response to most notes is to thank the person politely and then go scream into a pillow. Yes. It's just like,
I know that.
No, they make us all mad because we want to believe like, no, the thing I did is perfect. But honestly, like I don't need you to read my script and go, oh my God, it's great. I need you to read my script and go, okay, here's what this scene isn't clear. This thing could be better. This would be tighter if you did X, Y, Z. And so that to me is like, as a writing coach, that's all I'm trying to do is help you get there. I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm not trying to, undercut your talent. I'm trying to help you. I see something that you're doing that's exciting, and I'm trying to help you make sure it's as clear as possible on the page. That's one of my favorite story definitions or not story definitions, but just story characterizations is there's no such thing as good or bad story. It's just clear or unclear. Can I help you? Yeah. Can I help you make your story really clear on the page so that what you intended comes through in the actions and the dialogue? That's it. That's my job.
I totally agree. A conversation that's not asking, if I'm not being asked first, what's my intention? And I'm being told what's wrong before being asked the intention, I always feel a bit uncomfortable. But if somebody said, what are you trying to do with this scene? And you say X, Y, Z, and they go, well, it's not really doing that, is it? And here's why I don't think it is. And then you go, okay, how can I make that clearer? As you
and
say?
It's like, even if you get a dumb note, like it's always like looking for the note behind the note. Like, why did that person bump on that thing? It might not be whatever they told you to do that is maybe a silly idea or the wrong thing. But the fact that they bumped on it might be worth looking into. It's like, oh, I could maybe clarify that or make the stakes a little stronger or, build up the ramp up to that point in the conversation so that when they get there, we really get why that means so much to the character.
Before we finish on that, do you want to say then? I mean, I grandly called this the power of mentoring. You mentioned your own mentor, your own mentors that you turn to, and obviously what you're doing is mentoring. So what do you believe is the power of mentoring, and why might it be important to a writer?
I think screenwriting is the weirdest of all art forms because it is by nature collaborative. Even though we sit and we do it alone in a room, it is, unless you're in a TV writer's room, of course. We sit and we do it alone, but we have to be writing in a way that is in a language that all these other collaborators that come after us have to understand. Our set designer, our costume designer, our DP, the director, if it's not us, so like all these people have to be understanding what we're doing. So there is this collaborative nature, yet sometimes we never meet our collaborators. So for me, it's just helping people understand, let's think about your collaborators and let's get there so that everyone understands your vision and your intent. So I feel like that one got away from me. What was the question again?
No, I was asking what you feel the benefit to a writer is of a mentor and why a mentor is important. Yes. I mean, that was part of the answer for certain.
Yeah. So I think the rest, the benefit is just knowing that you have that person that's holding you accountable, that understands what you're trying to do and can be a litmus test for if you've been successful. And then, just that kind of like, does this scene work? It's like you have somebody who can run things by. You have somebody that has your best interest at heart, that's going to try to elevate your writing constantly, and it's going to push you and challenge you. Like, my job isn't just to pat you on the head and tell you this is great. Like your mom can do that. Like my job is to tell you what's working well and then tell you what could be working better and help you get there instead of just like, yeah, this doesn't work. Bye. Like, no, I need to help you figure out how to get there. And so to me, the people who have writing mentors, it shows me they're coachable and they're people that I want to work with because they're willing to have a conversation. They're hungry for the feedback because they know it'll make them better. And, they're always looking to develop. And that's like, those people are fun to be in conversation with. I love that.
Yeah, funny enough, that I've been mentored by a UK writer called Peter Spencer since 2010. And he said that is like later down the line, he said to me, the reason why I carried on mentoring you is because the first time I gave you notes, you didn't go, no, that's wrong. You didn't go, why are you saying this to me? You just took them and tried to understand what it was and why and how it would help improve the script. And I wasn't conscious of that. But...
Yeah. No, it's huge. My manager, he was just telling me the other day, he's like, you take notes so well. And it's like, well, yeah, because you don't hear me screaming into the pillow after we hang up. But also, like, you're out in the market, you're selling scripts. Like you telling me how to make this better is only going to help me. So I'm trying to listen for how to deliver what isn't quite working for you in the thing that I wrote. So there's that. And then, like, by contrast, I had a client once who came to me and was just so full of like, this is the most amazing script you're ever going to read. And I was like, ooh, that's a red flag. And so I read the script. I have never written a longer feedback report than I had for this gentleman. It was an extreme, because everything was quote unquote wrong with the script. There was no structure to it. There was no character development. It was just a kind of hodgepodge of memories that his family had told him stories. And so it was all this crazy stuff, but there was no development. There was no through line. None of it made sense. And after I gave him, we went and walked through all those notes. And then he just said, so what you're telling me is the script is actually pretty great as it is, and I don't need to do anything to it. And I was like,
amazing.
Oh, dear Lord. Like, you're completely not coachable. I can't make a difference to you as a writer. Good luck to you, sir. Like, there was nothing I could do. Like, I can't make a difference for you. I'm not going to waste my time.
I guess as well, it's sort of, because I hear this a lot when listening to podcasts like Script Notes with Craig Mazan and John August, and they talk, they constantly talk about the fact the screenplay is never really finished. It's sort of
never.
So the idea that because of the way we're schooled is about there's a right way and there's an A plus and then there's grades below A plus and you're trying to get an A plus. Right. And a screenplay will never get an A plus. It'll get a well done, maybe.
It just always changes. It depends on, like, I have a script, one of my scripts that won a bunch of contests 20 years ago, and then it never sold and nothing ever happened. And I just kind of put it away. And now that's the one that my manager is most excited about. And so I've been digging into that one. It has changed light years from the quote unquote winning script that it was before. And it's like, yeah, I see completely different new things about it now. And I'm able to execute scenes in a way I wasn't 20 years ago. And, it's just like, it's never done. It's always just like, let me change this. Let me change that. Let me make this better. Let me make that better. You're never done. It just gets taken away from you and hopefully made into a feature.
Indeed. Well, look, pagecraftwriting.com is the website, and I'll put that in the show notes. So thank you for sharing that. And it just gives us now to move on to 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Right. I am going to set a timer, and every 5 minutes we will stop what the film we're talking about and move on to the next one. Does that seem like the rules?
Is Jimmy Carr around? I feel like we're going to play 7 out of 10 cats here.
If only I had that level of celebrity, but no, sadly not. Right. Whenever we hear this sound, can you hear that?
Terrifying.
Right then. I'm going to start the first 5 minutes, and I'm going to do the films in the order you gave me. So I will do a little introduction and then hit the title, and you'll be away to go. Okay? Does that sound fair?
Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Right then. Rock behemoths Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and Genesis contributed to the financing of this movie. It features the infamous depiction of galloping horses with coconut shells, a tradition in radio. This really only came about purely for practical reasons. The medieval period production couldn't afford real horses. When this movie screened at Cannes, the projector stopped, and instead of getting angry, the audience were roaring with laughter, thinking it was part of the movie. It turned out to be a bomb scare and firemen came in and made everyone leave. Co-directed by Terry Gilliam, Terry Jones, co-written by Graham Chapman, John Cleese and Eric Idle. I'm talking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Tell us, why does this film have such an impact on you?
Oh my God. I can't even count the number of times that I've seen it. I saw it far too young. I think I was probably 8 or 9 when I saw it. And I was just like, wait, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this how you're supposed to tell stories? Because this is insane. But it also felt like the way a kid's mind is organized, you know? So it was just like, wait, so it's okay to just be me and say what I want to say? And, you know, like so many little nerdy Americans of the time, like we all ran around with our coconut shells, like, you know, like, and it was like, if you know, it's like the kids that would do like coconut shell running around, like goofing around the playground. It's like, oh, those are the nerds that like the British comedy stuff. Those are the Monty Python kids. Those are the drama kids, the drama club. Like we don't talk to them, you know, but it demarcated a tribe sort of for us. So it was very clear, like who liked that. And it was always the smarter kids, always the more interesting kids, the weirdos, a lot of the kids on the spectrum, which, you know, like now coming in retrospect, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So, you know, it was just, there's a joy to it that sort of permeated everything. And it just like, I was really drawn to the absurdity and the satire and the sarcasm. And so that definitely kind of laid the groundwork for my personal sense of humor, my sense of comedy. And it's just it was always, and like through high school and college, it was always just such an easy way to find your people. Because if you threw out a Monty Python quote and somebody responded, you knew they were your people. And if somebody looked at you blankly about, you know, the laden swallows or unladen swallows, you were just like, oh, you're not. Okay, never mind. So it was kind of an easy way to like weed people out and see who you wanted to hang out with. So definitely comedy foundation for me.
I mean, as a Brit talking to an American, then tell us, like, how is this? So this is sort of British cute comedy that's cutting through, but it's really just siphoning off a certain type of comedy fan.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I'm trying to think like what the comedy was at the time. It was very broad, very, you know, sitcom. I mean, there were great sitcoms in the 80s, the 70s and 80s here. But they were very like, you know, family values. Nobody was pushing boundaries until you got to like Sanford and Son and things like that were pushing boundaries. It was all very nice. And, you know, you look at the broad comedies of the early 80s. And then there was this, and it was just like, what on earth is this? And, you know, as a kid, I didn't understand where they were coming from the political, you know, the politics of Britain of the 70s, you know, that they were coming out of. Like, I had no idea, but there was something that was really resonant to me just about sort of thumbing your nose at authority. Can you,
because I think I watched it around about the age of 8 or 9 or 10. And I must admit, I found it harder to penetrate then than I did as I got older. Life of Brian was a much easier hit, and then Time Bandits even more so. But because the big thing that Time Bandits, that Holy Grail has, is the breaking the fourth wall at the end. I mean, that's such a... Yeah. I don't think I would have really seen anything like that as a kid.
No, I hadn't either. So, I mean, so what's your question specifically?
There's nothing. It's more an observation of like how kids sort of don't. I mean, in a way, I didn't even think, oh, they broke the fourth wall. It was just like, I didn't even know it was called breaking the fourth wall. But obviously, as you get older, you become aware that this is a sophisticated decision they've made. It's just like, right, we've just sort of zipped out, and now, there's our first 5 minutes. How was that? How was your first 5?
Oh my gosh. Good. I feel on the spot, but it's so fun to talk about Monty Python anytime. Okay.
Moving swiftly along to your second choice. In this third installment of this huge movie franchise, the production was allowed complete control of the Grand Canal in Venice from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the day it needed it. Harrison Ford did many of his own stunts, and according to famous stuntman Vic Armstrong, if Ford wasn't such a great actor, he would have made a great stuntman. The 4 horses in the final scenes of the movie were loaned to the film personally by King Hussein of Jordan, and most of the Nazi uniforms in the Berlin book burning scene are authentic World War II clothing, not replicas. Directed by Steven Spielberg, who dropped out of directing both Big and Rain Man to do this movie. I'm talking about Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. So tell us, Heidi, where does this fit in with your film memories, and why did it have impact on you?
So this movie, I mean, again, so quotable, but this movie was the first movie that I waited in line. Like, it was such a big deal. I remember waiting in line outside this, we had one movie house, like there was a Cineplex with a bunch of theaters, but there was this one old one that had just one giant theater, and that's where it was showing. And we waited in line. And when we got let in, there was no seat. There were no seats left. And so we sat on the carpet in front of the front row, wow, which is a complete fire. Like, they would never let you do that today. No. But we all had to be there, And so there's just this sense of being part of a cultural moment where it was this is important to everyone here right now. Because the first Indiana Jones was just so amazing and so classic and so just it grabbed all of us. And we all fell in love with that, with Indy and his world. And then the second one, okay, fine. Yeah. But then
time's not been kind to it.
Time's not been kind to that one. I mean, I remember at the time kind of being but I didn't enjoy it as much. But then when the third one came out, it was just oh my God. And Sean Connery's in it? Are you kidding me? It was just, it hit all these things that were just these moments of I can't believe that this is all in one movie. And then of course the sets were just stunning. The fact that you could tell such a complete story, it's so well structured. I actually teach part of it I teach the third act as a perfectly structured, because the third act has a complete story arc within it that's also part of a perfect structure. Wow. Yeah, so it's such a joy to be able to teach this movie that's meant so much to me. But it's just, it's fun, it's action, it's quippy, it's Harrison Ford at his very best. And I think it was part of that. It was part of this cultural moment where we were we are all here in this together. I want to create things like that are we had Barbenheimer a couple years ago. And it's that thing where it's and this year it's it feels like it's Sinners, it's the film that we all need to go be part of together. That's so huge. And it's even harder today than it was back then because we're all so fragmented. And, so I feel like that has always been a target. If I could only direct as well as Spielberg, it's not that hard of a target, right?
I was going to say, sure. he has form for this ability to almost take the third act and make a mini movie within it. I mean, Jaws is similar in that sense, I think. Yeah. I mean, just the impact he's personally left on film and Hollywood, and it's just his name has become synonymous with it's Dickensian means a certain thing, Shakespearean means a certain thing, Spielberg means a certain thing, and it's just to have that level of impact on the culture is just amazing. So where was this cinema that you saw it in?
This was in Northern California. I was living in a little town called Larkspur.
Yeah.
And so it was a very small little town under the shadow of a big mountain near North San Francisco Bay.
And do you remember the name of the cinema?
I have no idea. It was probably just the Larkspur Cinema.
Okay. And can you walk us in what it was? What that you mentioned there was the obviously the burgeoning of the Cineplex was coming, but obviously this was the single screener. Can you walk us in that entrance?
I remember just standing. We had standing in the line where it was in the hot sun for a really long time, and we finally got in. And so there was rumors flying up and down the line about what seats were open and stuff. And we walk in, and it's it's huge. You come in at the top and you walk down.
Finish your thought. You're right.
Okay, so you walk down the carpet. I remember the carpet was yellow and burgundy, sort of that old classic, and it had the big burgundy curtains, and that we walked past all the burgundy velvet seats and there were just nothing. And the ushers were like, just sit on the floor, just sit on the floor. And we were like, okay. Like crazy.
I have fond memories for that whole idea of queuing till the tickets run out. And then even to the point that you would, if you were at a place that had more than one screen, you would say, well, what else is on? And then if you'd seen it, you just had to go home. It was like, but you were always willing to see whatever was on. I remember I saw Shawshank Redemption because whatever I went to see had sold out, and that was all I could see. So we saw that,
amazing.
Which is kind of weird.
It turns out to be an amazing film.
Yeah.
That movie. Well, that movie's amazing as well.
Well, look, thank you. That's your second choice. Moving swiftly along to your third and final choice. This is Meg Ryan's first theatrical feature film as a producer and actress. And it was Owen Rosman's last film as a cinematographer, weirdly. The movie also stars two actors who had both won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, Timothy Hutton for Ordinary People and Kevin Kline for Fish Called Wanda. And in a scene where Kline's character steals a car, the song that's playing is Le Jour d'un Père by Les Negres Verts, directed by Lawrence Kasdan, and only the second film at the time where he was not the screenwriter. I'm talking about 95's French Kiss. So tell us, this is a film I don't know about, so I'm interested to know about why this had such impact on you and why it's so memorable.
I mean, speaking of Kevin Kline coming out of Fish Called Wanda and the Python connection right there, it's like, it's right there. So I'm always a huge fan of Kevin Kline. I mean, absolutely. In fact, this rom-com that I said I would wrote 20 years ago, that's up now, I wrote the dad part for him.
Okay.
Because it's actually, that script is my homage to French Kiss. Okay. So it's only set in Italian. It's set in Italy. Also, Jean Reno is the other one of the other main supporting characters who's phenomenal. So the cast is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. This film is a perfect rom-com structure. It has so much heart and so much joy, and it's just the character arcs are perfectly structured. There's motif. There's the transitions in this. Like it's the perfect film to teach, and I do teach it. Except for no one has ever explained to me why it is not streaming anywhere. And it breaks my heart because to me, it's the absolute zenith of the classic 90s rom-coms, the Meg Ryan oeuvre of rom-coms, and that you can't see it is criminal to me. And somebody was like, oh, there's got to be some kind of, they've never resolved some sort of rights issue or something. I don't know. I have an old DVD of it. I have an illegal online copy of it, so I can see it and I can, whatever. But it's such a beautiful film because she goes into this thing. Her fiance, they're back in America. She's got a terrible fear of flying. He's going to Paris for this business deal. She won't get on the plane to go with him because why would you want to go to Paris? He calls her. She's very uptight. She's got their whole life all planned out. She's got a nest egg. She knows exactly what their life is going to be. We're going to have that house. We're going to have 2.5 kids. She's very rigid. So we know right away that's what she needs to let go of. He gets there. He calls her, says he fell in love with this French goddess. He's leaving her. That's it. Thanks for the memories. She overcomes her fear of flying. She gets her ass on a plane and she gets there. And of course, in the course of getting there, she's seated next to Kevin Kline's jewel thief, Luke, who plants a grapevine in her bag, knowing that she won't be stopped by customs and he will. So she makes it through customs and then he has to chase her to try to get her bag back to get his vine back. He's desperate to reinvigorate his vineyard because he's a gambler. He's a rogue and he gambled away his share of his family vineyard and he wants to be a vintner. So it's the two of them and he's trying to help her get her guy back. But in the course of that, she proves to herself he's not good enough for her. Why is she trying so hard? And she just has this beautiful moment of like really coming into her own. And then he is like, why did I've let her slip through my fingers. And so then Kevin Kline chases after her to get her back. And we leave Timothy Hutton, who was the fiance who never was good enough for her, gets left in the dust in France as he well deserves. And it's just a lovely film. And it's so sweet.
Because I was reading about the film and Paris and Cannes feature in the movie, don't they?
Yeah.
So how much is sort of, I guess, with it being, certainly 3 Americans in France, how much does France become a character within the film?
Oh my gosh, very much. Because Kevin Kline plays in a flawless Frenchman, and not by I've heard French people have said his French accent, and no one gets French accent right. Kevin Kline gets it right.
He was trained. He trained before the film to be fluent. He wouldn't do it unless he could sound like a Frenchman. Apparently,
yeah, he's so great. So he plays a Frenchman, and it's sort of the character of Paris and the character of France is her whole like, why would I want to be here? I'm just here to get my man back. But then she really starts relaxing into the joys of things like cheese and the baguettes and just the culture, and that it's a different rhythm and there's different values than having everything already planned out and sorted like, in America. And so there's just lovely.
Brilliant. Well, look, that brings us to the end of 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life. Thank you for sharing.
Oh my gosh. I want to do like 3 or 4 more films. This is fun.
And thank you for sharing about Pagecraft. Is there anything else? Was there anything you didn't get a chance to say about Pagecraft that you'd like to add before we finish?
Gosh, I mean, we're expanding our stuff. We have our 2026 dates are already up for the Italy retreat, and so we're accepting, waitlist applications for that. And then our online classes are all the time. One-on-one coaching is all the time. And I also have a blog where I'm always looking at analyzing new things that are coming out, little teaching points. What can I tell you about how this thing works, how that thing works? In fact, we were speaking earlier about, submerging dialogue. And what the latest post on there is about looking at flow and why the movie Flow works so well with no dialogue at all.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm always trying to find things that I can help writers understand their craft better, and talking about those on the Pagecraft blog. So
brilliant. Well, look, that just gives me to say thank you for joining us on the Britflix podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Do remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts for more movies that impacted your life. And if you want to, I'd love to know what your favourite movies are, what your fondest movie memories are. So please share your favourite movies that impacted your life on Twitter. Look for @LaytonRocks. And you can always leave me a review, 5-star preferably. And in your review, tell us which 3 films impacted your life. Best ones get read out on the podcast.
Hey there, Hugh from Moderation here. If you like today's show, then why not have a listen to Why We Roll, the dedicated TTRPG design podcast. It's hosted by White and Chris, 2 professional TTRPG designers, and it's all about talking to the people that make our favourite games in the tabletop world and understanding what goes into that decision-making process, how you build something that's not just fun to play, but fun to experience. And we're not talking about how we roll, but learning why exactly we make those decisions. Check it out on our website at poderation.com.